Donald Trump and far-right figures on the internet have ratcheted up tensions between Americans today, as they have called for wide crackdowns, wide purges, and attacks against individuals that they believe led to the death of Charlie Kirk. Now, this is a very serious situation. Kirk's passing, Kirk's shooting was a very serious situation. The response from the right, and especially from the President of the United States, is highly concerning to many and demonstrates a willingness to conduct wide-ranging purges and crackdowns of those that they may disagree with, of those that they may believe have caused this shooting. Now, what that means, it's unclear right now. But Donald Trump, in his first remarks following Charlie Kirk's shooting, blamed rhetoric from the, quote, radical left and pledged a crackdown against political violence and anyone who targets law enforcement, judges, or any group that may have been associated with Kirk's passing. Now, that's a very broad statement. And right-wing figures on the internet, from Laura Loomer to Libs of TikTok to Alex Jones, have all claimed that this is war, have all claimed that essentially the Democratic Party should be labeled as a domestic, some have claimed that the Democratic Party should be labeled as even a domestic terrorism group. And as a result of this rhetoric, a lot of people, including myself, have received significant threats and dangerous rhetoric and attacks on the internet overnight, and will likely continue to see it in the days ahead. A lot of you have asked, well, Aaron, are you safe? Are you okay? I am safe. I am okay. I'm protecting myself. I'm making sure that I am safe. Because right now in this moment, I'm going to be honest with you. I would be lying if I said I wasn't scared. Of course I am. Not just scared for my safety, but I'm scared for the country's, where the country is going moving forward. This division between the right and the left, this heated rhetoric, it's not good for anyone. It's not good for anyone. And in a saving grace, yesterday, the Connecticut Young Republicans and the Connecticut Young Democrats actually came together and issued a joint statement, one of their first ever joint statements following the shooting, to bring people together. That statement is one that many should emulate. It's what we should bring people together, not spread them apart. And before I continue, please consider subscribing to support my work or sending a one-time donation via Venmo to Aaron-Parnas. Let me give you some updates about the Colorado shooting, because that also happened yesterday, before I talk about where we stand with Kirk's manhunt. A teenage student opened fire at the Evergreen High School, about 30 miles west of Denver, shooting two classmates before fatally turning the gun on himself. It happened around 12:30 local time. Shots were fired both inside and outside of the building. 3 of the students were taken to St. Anthony Hospital, where one later died. Another remains in critical condition, and the third is stable. The individual who conducted the shooting was the one who passed away. The shooting sent shockwaves through the small community of Evergreen, where parents rushed to nearby schools to reunite their children. Some students found shelter in a nearby home, with residents helping calm and care for them until parents arrived. Remember, this community was near the Columbine High School that suffered that devastating shooting about two decades ago. About Charlie Kirk, here's where things stand. Right now, Vice President J.D. Vance has changed his schedule to visit Kirk's family in Utah instead of the 9/11 memorial in New York this morning, calling him a, quote, true friend. On campus, students who were initially divided over the shooting have since voiced unity, insisting that violence has no place in public debate. The suspect is not in custody at this point. A manhunt remains underway. Authorities believe that it was the work of a lone sniper. 2 men yesterday were briefly detained and questioned, but they were later released. The campus remained on lockdown throughout the night and will likely remain on some type of restricted lockdown today. Police were blocking entrances as the manhunt continued. The Utah Department of Public Safety confirmed that the shooter remains at large. In other news, Peter Mendelsohn was fired as the United Kingdom's ambassador to the United States after newly released emails and handwritten note showed the depth of his ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The Foreign Office said Mendelsohn's support for Epstein, even after his 2008 conviction, was, quote, materially different from what was known at the time of his appointment, forcing Prime Minister Keir Starmer into essentially another political crisis just days before Donald Trump's planned state visit, which will take place next week. Today is the 24th anniversary of 9/11. and Democratic senators are pressing RFK Jr., who's the Secretary of Health and Human Services, over delays and staffing shortages at the World Trade Center Health Program, which provides care for 9/11 responders and survivors. They warn that missed deadlines to expand coverage for illnesses like lupus, stroke, and early onset dementia, combined with long wait times and a nearly $3 billion funding shortfall, are endangering lives. Lawmakers urged RFK to lift the hiring freeze and address systematic failures, stressing that delays in treatment could have fatal consequences for those still suffering from 9/11 related conditions. Senate Republicans narrowly blocked an amendment from Democratic leader Chuck Schumer that would have required the Justice Department to release all Jeffrey Epstein files, voting 51-49 to table the measure. Rand Paul from Kentucky and Josh Hawley from Missouri broke with their party to join Democrats in support, while Schumer argued the public deserves transparency after years of cover-ups. A similar bipartisan push is advancing in the House, where backers say they are close to forcing a vote that could put pressure on the Senate to act. Several construction workers fleeing an ICE raid near Langley tried to climb the fences surrounding CIA headquarters, briefly triggering a security lockdown. The CIA said the perimeter was never breached, but access to the campus was temporarily shut as a precaution. ICE did not notify the agency of the operation in advance, and the incident caused traffic delays during the morning commute. More than 300 South Korean nationals detained in a massive immigration raid at a Hyundai electric vehicle plant in Georgia are being flown back to Seoul, South Korea, after a delay reportedly ordered by Donald Trump. The Foreign Office in Seoul said the workers, most of whom were engineers and specialists, were released from ICE custody without restraints following outrage of images of them being shackled. According to an exclusive NBC News report, American diplomats say they are increasingly fearful of retaliation for offering candid assessments under Trump's second administration, with some reassigned after providing unwelcome analysis. The Foreign Service Union warned members that even private advice can be politicized, as the State Department now emphasizes fidelity to the president's agenda in promotions. And finally, a veteran zookeeper in his 50s was killed at Safari World in Bangkok after being mauled by at least 3 lions when he stepped out of his work vehicle in violation of safety rules. The attack, which was witnessed and filmed by visitors, lasted about 15 minutes before colleagues were able to pull him away. He later died in the hospital, and authorities are actively investigating the zoo's animal permits and safety protocols. That is all the news this morning. I'm sure there'll be more news throughout the day. I will let you know as we get more information. As always, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you this evening for another update. Stay tuned. Hey folks, Aaron Parnas here. Thank you so much for watching The Parnas Perspective. Please consider subscribing to support our work as we grow this independent news media entity into something that rivals mainstream every single day. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.